Dominion Live Chicago. All right, our interview with Richard Crowe is up next. I just got to dial him up. I will talk to him off the air for just a brief second, and we'll be up momentarily. Hang on. Okay, we have Richard Crowe, Chicago ghost hunter, Chicago ghost tourist, on Dominion Live Chicago. Richard, how are you today?
Very good, thank you.
Richard, what is it that got you interested in the supernatural, the paranormal?
There's actually two answers to that. The first answer is a personal interest, which was just growing up in the south side of Chicago, proximity to places like Resurrection Cemetery, Bachelors Grove Cemetery, hearing these stories as a boy, and then once I got the car keys when I turned 16, driving out to these places, checking things out, and trying to gather up the information.
Now, Bachelors Grove Cemetery, I've been there. A pretty creepy place. It's been called America's most haunted cemetery.
Bachelors Grove runs the gamut of all kinds of different possibilities. When you consider the fact that you've got the blue ghost light, a mysterious ball of light that bobs around at night. You've got the phantom caretaker, the guy with a shotgun that shows up at night, tells you to leave, and you find out that there is no caretaker there later. You've got the disappearing farmhouse, an old wooden house of long ago, porch swing, light in the window, and so forth, and you find out later that there is no longer any house there. There may have been 50, 100 years ago or more, but not anymore. But then there's some really Twilight Zone type possibilities there. You can be out there, for instance, I've heard this, you can be out there and you'll hear mechanical clanging type sounds somewhere in the area, like heavy equipment and machinery. Now, there is nothing around there to make those sounds,
right?
But you plainly hear that. Or you can look up, and you're not looking into the real sky. It's like you're looking into a pitch-black void.
Wow.
Or you can hear the sound of a strange breeze all around you.
Right.
And yet nothing's moving. There's no branches, no leaves are rustling.
I brought a tape recorder out there about a year ago. No wind, nothing. I went to play the tape back. There was an eerie wind out there. I asked questions. There were EVPs on there. I played the tape back. I was totally freaked out by it.
Back in 1974 is when the first psychic photographs were discovered out there by a man named Tony Vasey, who's an Oak Lawn guy, who, with a Polaroid SX70 color camera, which was the big camera in vogue back then, this is well before the digital cameras of modern day, began taking photographs showing this mist, ectoplasm-type material on their color photographs.
Wow. The
photographs would be spit out of the Polaroid camera. You'd see this stuff, and it's not visible to the human eye, but it does show up on the print that's spit out of the Polaroid. Now, of course, in more recent times, you've got the orb phenomena and so forth, and streaks of light and other kind of classic ghostly interference here with cameras. Now, I know Penn and Teller, and I know you can squeeze a pack of Polaroid film and break the emulsion and have streaks of light and so forth show up. I'm not talking about something like that. I'm talking about...
something that would be noticeable.
Right, definitely something that's inexplicable there. In fact, the photographs that were first taken back in the 70s were looked at by Dr. Peter Bander of London and Uri Geller. And both of those two guys that we were at a conference together here down in Joliet a while back at a university, and they couldn't explain it. They were very fascinated by it. So a lot of interest in the Bachelors Grove material over the years.
Was there I remember seeing a picture in I forget which paper, it was the Tribune or Sun Times, of a lady sitting on a gravestone, claiming it was her gravestone. Yeah,
there have been some photographs. I'm not really fully aware of the credibility, if you will, of some of these stories, some of these photographs. The lady who took that photograph has dropped out of the field, and I'm not really sure if she's totally credible.
Okay.
So I'm not really. I don't want to pass judgment on that. I never had a chance to really get the whole story about that. But I mean, I'm not saying it can't happen. I'm saying you got to be careful because, especially in these days with Photoshop and everything, you can play around with stuff very easily.
Yeah.
And you got to be very, very careful in evaluating material. material. You've got good raw material, and that's something somebody's playing around with.
Yeah, they have. Apparently, the police, from what I understand, don't like people going in there at night because apparently there's grave disturbances. People like to knock over the gravestones and that kind of thing.
Right, because of the grave robbery situation and the desecration was taking place in 1976, the county board, 76, 77, the county board put Bachelors Grove Cemetery on a prescribed list, so that's it's not accessible to the public. So it's closed to the public. You go out there and you are trespassing. You're on your own. So any of your listeners that might want to go out there, would strongly suggest that they find a police officer friend to go out there with them and take them about and show them the area, because otherwise they stand a chance of getting a trespass ticket, which could be $500 plus, depending on the mood of the person who's out there patrolling.
Right. It's a very eerie place. I mean, the road, the path that goes there, it seems to go on forever, and it's the middle of a forest preserve.
Well, you know how it looks today.
Yeah.
But imagine what it would have been like 30 years ago or so, 40 years ago, or even 50 years ago, when it's much more isolated. I mean, now you've got, just to the east of there, you've got counter developments getting very, very close, encroaching upon it.
Mm-hmm.
But still, even with civilization nearby, you go out there, and it does cause the hair to stand up at the back of your neck as you get out there, and you feel, there's something odd about this place. Odd about